It's time for the one, the only podcast known as The Single with your hosts, Alexandra Tweeton and Allison Stevenson. Boom. Let the podcast begin.
I liked that gong. That gong noise.
Yeah, right? That's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Welcome to another episode of The Single. We're live, coming to you, not live, but we're
both going crazy, basically.
We're recording this via Zoom, practicing our social distancing,
Zoom. Remember those Mitsubishi commercials where there was like a little kid who would go, Zoom, Zoom?
I hated those.
Yeah, I kind of hated those too. But also, that should be Zoom's catchphrase.
That show on like, what was it? Was it PBS? Did you ever watch the kids show on PBS?
No, probably
not. Zoom, and they had like a rap, and it was like, Zoom, 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 Zoom.
What?
Yeah.
This was not a part of my childhood.
Oh, well.
We lived in parallel universes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think children's shows were kind of different throughout the country, especially on PBS.
Facts.
Anyway. How's your isolation going? Are you going crazy?
I mean, I'm going crazy for dick. Like, I'm totally okay with being isolated. Like, I was an only child growing up. I, like, lived in my bedroom.
Oh, true.
Like, I'm okay.
You were made for this.
Yeah, this shit is like, I had many years of training for this. But I really do just want to, like, fuck somebody. That's like, that's what's going on right now.
That's legit, yeah.
I'm like, otherwise, everything's A-okay. I'm like, I got everything I need. I just need someone to, like, rub my butt, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting that. That's what everyone
needs.
That's so true.
Yeah, I mean, I've been socially isolating, or whatever the term is, with someone at the same time, and I feel like I was like, man, I just feel lucky that I can, like, see another person and, like, talk to them in real life, and he touches my butt sometimes, and that's nice.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
I still don't know what this is, or what's going on.
You have yet to define it.
To be clear, but I'm just not going to bring it up because it's quarantine times and I don't even want to know.
Right. Save it for post-quarantine. Yeah, for sure. I feel that.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're okay with it, with the not knowing, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, whatever, we're hanging out.
Yeah. And you guys, like, have enough trust in each other that, like, you know he's not doing anything shady or whatever.
Yeah, because I'm with him all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's chill. I think that's chill.
Yeah. I mean, it's comforting because it's just like eating foods, not going anywhere. Going for a walk, watching movies, that's about it.
Yeah. I, like, should maybe go outside. I haven't been outside in a few days.
You gotta get that vitamin D from the sun.
I've been taking my gummies.
Oh, yeah, you got your gummies.
I've been taking vitamin D, multi, magnesium, calcium, zinc. I'm, like, trying to really... I got ginger. I'm, like, literally just chewing on chunks of ginger. just like a mad person.
I've been doing B complex.
Okay.
And then magnesium at night because it helps you sleep.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe I should take magnesium at night. Mm-hmm. I've been taking them like during the day. Maybe that's why I'm so tired all damn day.
Yeah, it can make you tired.
I did not know that. Well,
yeah. What else is going on?
But, okay, here, I'm going to tell you, because somehow I've created a little business for myself that I did not anticipate happening, but it's happening, and I'm surprised by how much business I've gotten. I am critiquing dick pics for money.
Hell yeah.
It all started when this guy... How's it what?
How's it going?
It's going well. Like, I haven't made enough money to, like, pay my rent or whatever, but I've been making good, like, it's been, like, good, like, side money, like, grocery store money type stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, wait, so how did it start now?
This guy DM'd me asking for it. He was like... He's this guy in, like, the UK who I have no idea who he is, but he was just like, hey, would you look at my dick pics and, like, let me know what you think? And I was like, sure. Like, I'm the kind of person who doesn't mind getting asked shit like that, so I was like, yeah, for money, I'm assuming. And he was like, yeah, like, how much would you charge? And I was like, I don't know, let's say $50. So he was like, okay. And he sent me $50 and then, like, sent me a bunch of pictures. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just create a little video and critique them for this guy. And it was, like, really interesting for me to do, where I was like, this is actually kind of fun for me. And I sent it to him, and he was, like, really appreciative of it. And I was like, maybe this is, like, a thing I could do. And so I've been tweeting about it, and I've been posting about it, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, you know, literally every time I tweet or post about it, I get at least one commission from a guy who's, like, amazing. Curious. Yeah. And
so how many clients are you up to now?
I think I'm up to, like, 6, something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been, one guy sent me more money than I asked as, like, a birthday present. Great. Which is nice. But, like, it's been weird because I've even had a few guys do it who are, like, I kind of know. Like, they're not, like, strangers. But they were like, would it be weird if I did this? And I was like, no, dude, it's chill. Like, I don't mind. And so, I don't know. It's been, like, kind of fun. I'm, like, learning a lot of things about, or just, you know, it's, like, hitting home a lot of things about how, you know, I don't, like, the issue with dick pics is that so many of them are sent unsolicited. Yeah. That it's kind of, like, destroyed the image of a dick pic. Like, the stigma around dick pics is so negative because so many men make them these, like, toxic, like, forms of sexual harassment. Yeah. But inherently, like, a dick pic can be attractive. Yeah. Like, it can be hot. It can be erotic. And so many guys don't know how to, like, take these photos of themselves because unlike women where we're, like, more, like, intrinsically, like, trained to, like, know how to, like, please the male gaze, like, men aren't really
constantly looking at ourselves from another perspective.
Yes, exactly. And, like, I'm learning in all these pictures, like, men don't really know how to do that. Like, they don't know how to take a picture that is, like, pleasing to the female gaze. You know what I mean? And that's what all my critiques are, is just like, hey, think about, like, the point of view shot here is just you looking down on your dick. Like, what woman is enticed by that? Like, or, like, look at all your clothes on the floor and, like, the fucking basketball shorts you're wearing while taking this dick pic. You know what I mean? Like, just little things like that, like...
Context, people. Context.
They have no clue. They have no idea. Like, so many of them. And they want to, like, be better and have a better, you know... I think they want to, like, sexually excite women with their photos, but just, like, don't know how and are... embarrassed on top of that because the stigma around dick pics is that they're just inherently ugly. So, yeah, I'm learning a lot. I might, like, write about it or something, because I'm like,
That's great. You should.
yeah, I think there's something there that I'm learning and they're learning, and it's been like a nice little fortuitous little thing I've gotten myself into where I'm like, huh, there's something here.
That sounds great. So was the first one just like out of the blue? This guy just wanted you to, and then after
Totally
that,
out of
you're
the
like,
blue. And he was like, started telling me a little bit more about himself, and he was like, yeah, I'm in the UK. I have coronavirus. Like,
oh my
he legit
God.
has it. And he was like, I haven't
Wow.
seen or talked to anybody in like a really long time. And I'm just like trying to like have connection in some way. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, let's do
Wow.
this. And then
Yeah.
I also Skyped with him where he like wanted me to watch him masturbate
Oh.
for like $40.
Okay. Well,
I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, as long as I
Hey,
don't gotta
right.
do shit,
Yeah.
like, I don't
Yeah.
want to show my tits. I don't want to show you anything. But if you just want me to see,
yeah.
yeah, I'll take a look. I don't give a fuck.
I'll take a look. See.
Yeah, man. And I've done one humiliation video. Only one guy has
Oh.
wanted it to be like dick humiliation.
Oh, I feel like you would be really good at that. Like that is like a talent.
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like I'm
No?
not bad at it, but
Oh yeah.
I haven't really heard it. I haven't heard a professional do it, so I don't know how I'd compare to like a profesh. But I feel like I hit the main things that you're supposed to, like, you got a small dick. How can you please a woman with a dick like that? Aren't you embarrassed? Don't you hate that dick of yours? I would hate to fuck that dick. You know, just things like that.
Yeah. Yes, and sometimes they want to hear that, and that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
what they're into. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's like the exciting. That's like they want to hear how their dick is like not satisfying. Which, hey, if that's what gets you off, I'm happy to help.
Here to oblige.
Yeah, I will.
As long as
I will
you
do
pay cash money.
that. As long as you PayPal me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. Like, I think a lot of the conversation around dick pics is, you know, like, oh no, they're gross. But we never talk about sometimes they're nice to get when you know the person and you're asking for it. Like,
That's the main thing. Is just like the consent around them. Like everything
Yep.
changes when it's consensual, and
Exactly.
yeah, just so many of them aren't because a lot of men are stupid.
yep.
Yep.
Not much more I can say. It's all true.
How's other stuff been going for you outside of quarantining with a
Not
man?
sure. Oh, it's pertaining to what?
Just other life stuff?
Yeah. Just like trying to write, and I feel like I got to get ahead of it because everyone else is also trying to write stuff and come up with content. And
Well, that's
with
the problem is we're all
proposals and-
trying.
we're all trying.
None
but
of us are getting shit done.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been very creatively drained. Like, I have no good ideas right now, and it's kind of like upsetting me. And like, I know I shouldn't overthink it, or
Yeah.
it's tough.
But you know what? I feel like the last 2 weeks have been just like, let's maybe just take a break. Everything is on pause. There's nothing you
Yeah.
can do about it. Like, everyone just take a chill pill. I saw a tweet recently that was like, it feels like the earth put us on a timeout, and now we have to think about what we've done.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly it.
So yeah, everything's just on pause, and that's okay.
Yeah, it feels okay. Like, it's oddly, like, much needed in a way, as much as the circumstances are shitty. Like, I do feel like it was kind of necessary to just kind of pause and be like, maybe I should focus on my body and my health and like my eating habits and my home and like clean and stuff, you know, like not just be so work all the time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, should we introduce our guest this week?
Yes, let's do that.
All right. Cool. Okay. I think we have it. Hello, Samantha. It's good to meet you.
Hi.
Nice to meet both of you.
Thanks for coming on our podcast.
Of course.
How's your quarantine going?
It's going fine. I just made brine for chicken, and I'm watching Tiger King.
Of course. Oh my God. Okay.
It's so wild.
So wait, before we get into it, I want to introduce you to everyone. We have Samantha Rothenberg, who is an illustrator. You might know her as Violet Claire on Instagram. Is that like your alter ego?
So honestly, to be honest, that was like my username on Instagram when I signed up for it in 2010, and it means light purple, and I just thought it sounded like chic and pretty. And then the account like morphed into a professional account over time, and I just rolled with it.
I see. Okay, cool. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, she does these illustrations, and she just like talks about dating and how terrible and awful it is a lot of the time. But she also does these like screenshot stories where other people send you screenshots, right, of crazy messages that they get, and then she illustrates them, and then they talk about them. So, yeah, I was super excited to have you on the podcast because I like repost your stuff all the time, and I always find myself saving it and just to send to people and to look at later. So,
it's mutual, I think. You are on.
Thanks. So anyway, back to Tiger King. Have you watched with Allison?
I literally couldn't get past episode 3 because it's too freaking sad. Like, as crazy and wild as the story is, I'm like, there's just too much tigers being hurt here. Or like implied hurt.
Yeah. That's originally why I like hesitated on watching it, because I was like, it's going to be really sad and I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah. But everybody's talking about it. It's like, it's the thing right now.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I started watching it because I didn't want to be. I feel like sometimes there's just like a trend going around on social media, and everyone's watching a show, or and I don't think like feeling left out.
Right. I think especially now too. Like now that we're all like quarantined in our little like home bubbles, it's like an extra like nice thing to like be able to bond with people over this show or about anything other than being miserable.
And it's just nice to watch a show and forget about the world for a minute.
Yeah. It's a nice reminder of how outside can sometimes suck.
Yeah.
You can live in Oklahoma and be forced to work on a tiger farm.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because you're just out of jail and you're eating 3-day-old Walmart leftover meat.
Oh my God. Oh gosh. It's incredible. I don't want to give any spoilers away to people who haven't listened to it, but if you want in on the conversation, highly recommend it.
I feel like I'm going to finish it. I just need to like pace myself because almost every episode has made me cry.
Oh my God. I watched all of it in like 2 days.
Oh, really?
So ridiculous. Yeah.
They are really good at, I mean, the stories themselves, I'm sorry, I'm still talking about Tiger King. The stories themselves are so insane, but they're so good at like making you want to watch the next episode, like ending it on a cliffhanger where you're like, what?
And the characters, I don't think that like the best fiction writer could create such like
It's unbelievable. And everyone sucks. Like, I hate all of them.
Yeah. You think you like know who you're supposed to root for, like in the first episode maybe, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think they're all horrible people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, I don't know. I hope you can't hear. Well, or maybe, but Tobias is sitting on me, like, purring.
Oh, it's your little tiger. He's the Tiger King. The Tiger King of Hollywood.
Anyway, so.
Well, where do you live, Samantha? Are you in New York?
I am.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh man, how is it for you? I feel like things are super intense there right now.
Things are intense here, and you can see, like, you know, I obviously really only leave my apartment to go for walks or get groceries, and like, oh my God, it's just like over the past 2 weeks, like you just feel how much more serious everyone has gotten about this, which thank God, but also it's, you know, it never ceases. You know, you have these moments where you're walking around and you're just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in some sort of like dystopian science fiction book.
Yeah.
I've been feeling that too. Like you're just doing like normal things that are normal now. And then you think about like, wow, remember 2 weeks ago when like thinking about this, you would have been like, whoa, that'll never happen. And then you're like, wow, no, I am waking up at 8 a.m. to go find toilet paper because it's all sold out everywhere. And
for sure.
Oh my God, I wish I could wake up at 8 a.m.
That's what I did.
I used to wake up at 8 a.m.
Only
Did you get
to
toilet
go
paper?
Find toilet paper, yeah. We went to Rite Aid, and there was like 4 or 5 like left at 8.
Wow.
We got there at 8:30.
It's wild.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I like can't wake up. Like my sleep schedule's all messed up. I'm like going to bed at like 3 a.m. and like not waking up till noon now. And I'm like mad at myself. There's also like, what's the point? There's nobody's on a real schedule right now, are they?
What are days?
What are
I don't know.
days?
It's just like another day. Who knows what day it is? Anyway.
Anywho, so dating.
Samantha, are you single?
I am not. But I was for a super long time.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been in a relationship?
It's been like almost a year, actually.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
Cool. Are you cohabitating?
Yeah.
Like for real or just for the quarantine?
For the quarantine, but pretty much for like when we were planning to move in together, basically like in August, and considering like we don't know how long this is going to last for, we're kind of just like, maybe we should just do this early or something.
Oh,
Gotcha.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You'd already made kind of a months ahead plan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty serious.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah, no, it's, and honestly, when I was single for 5 years and I was legitimately like, I will be single forever. And that like I really accepted it and I was really fine with it. And like, I was not, I don't know. I wasn't like, it happened. I don't know. It just happened.
Yeah. I mean, that's usually what we hear is like, oh, it just happened. Like, how did it happen?
Yeah. So I met him on Tinder.
Okay. Wow. Tinder.
Crazy.
Okay.
I know. I was like, I always say, I'm like, I wish it were like a classier one, like Hinge or something, but whatever. But I met him on Tinder last June, and I was just like, I was single for 5 years and I was just like over everything. Like every time a guy would message me on an app, I'd like find some reason to think he was terrible. And I just like didn't want to meet anyone. I was just like over it all. And like the guy I'm seeing now, he was like one of the like very few guys who like didn't do anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You couldn't come up with an excuse to push him away.
Yeah, like he didn't like when I asked him a question, like he asked me a question back, like stuff like that. Like, like the very simple things. Like
he knew how to be a normal person,
Yeah,
which most men can't.
He knew how to like conduct himself like a normal human, which was like so surprising for like a dating app. And I was just I was like, all right, I gotta meet up with this one, you know. So I did, and like, I don't know, we like after our first date, there were like, we didn't see each other for 3 weeks. I like went home to Long Island. I just like, it was a good first date, but I like had no faith in anything. And I just was like, I was like, a good first date doesn't mean shit. Like, I don't trust him. But like, I don't know. He's wonderful, and he has been very supportive of like what I do. And
was he like pursuing in those like 3 weeks that you didn't see each other at first? Was he like?
No, he was chill. And in my mind, I was just like, because I was so used to like just being like guys ghosting and like acting interested, but like actually not being interested. And like, I was just like assuming that he would do that at some point. Yeah. Just like being very like I wasn't, we didn't talk that much, and he wasn't super aggressive or anything during that time, but we started to hang out a little more, and he kept like not doing things wrong.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like I think I can trust this a little more. And so here we are.
Nice.
Well, congrats.
I think in a weird way, it kind of helps when you have low expectations, because like you look at things a little bit more, like the whole fantasy building thing doesn't happen where you're like really attached to the guy really quickly. It's like things can kind of progress more naturally when you're like, this probably isn't going to be anything. So you kind of like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's like the opposite of like when you meet a guy and you're just like, after one date, you're like, oh my God, he's perfect. And you're just like, this whole idea in your head. And you're just like, which is like what I did for so long about like, with like every guy I met. And then I was eventually like, okay, that's like a shitty attitude, that I should not be that way, because like, obviously I just will get disappointed. So then I went through a phase where like I expected 0 out of men.
Yeah.
And I ended up being pleasantly surprised. So
totally. Yeah. I think
that's the answer.
I think it is. I really think it is. Let them kind of like convince you otherwise, you know?
Yeah. I'm just like, I feel like it's a way better attitude to go into dating. Like, I expect like so little out of you rather than so much. Like,
totally agreed.
I love that.
And but like, that's not to say that he's not like wonderful, and like I'm not trying to say that like he only did the bare minimum.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's wonderful. He can hear me right now. He's in the next room. So.
He's listening.
He's totally listening.
Totally. Yeah, but I was looking at some of your posts today, and to like get ideas of ones to bring up, and but you're always calling out the types of guys that you just like, you know that they're fuckboys, you know what's gonna happen. But this one felt relevant. Hey boy, are you toilet paper? Because I want you up in my shit, but I can't get a hold of you.
That's great.
So what, do you want to talk about like a little bit of how, your account and how you started talking about dating started, or like, do you have any other interesting stories from your single days?
Totally. So I became single in like 2014, I think it was. And, like I was in a really long-term relationship that ended, and I went back into the dating pool, just like the way, like when you're first, okay. So like, that was my first time ever doing apps or anything, because they didn't exist before my relationship before it. So I was just like, oh my God, like what a treasure trove. This is incredible. Like, I just thought that like dating was like the coolest. I was like, I can meet people. Like New York City has so many different types of people with different backgrounds who do cool things. I'm like, even if like we don't click as a date, like I could learn their story, and that's awesome. And let's just say that I burnt out on that attitude very quickly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, exact same. I was like, what is this?
Very relatable.
So then I went, so that attitude lasted like a good 6 months. And then I started to be like, wow, like this is actually like kind of starting to like beat me down. Like, this is like starting to feel like not good. So I kind of like for 5 years, I kind of went through like different periods of like being enthusiastic about dating, being like not enthusiastic about dating, not just like not dating at all. Like I think I went like an entire year where like I just didn't have sex, and that was fine. And so basically, yeah, so I started to create these comics. I think like, so the first ever comics I created were about the election in 2016. And then I got like super burnt out on that when Trump won. I was just like, I just like didn't want to think about politics. I just like needed a break. So
There's only so much you can talk about politics.
Oh my God, I know. So I started to create like comics that were more personal. They weren't exclusively about dating. Like a lot of them were like about like wearing heels and how they're uncomfortable and like just like relatable girly stuff, which whatever. So like
Yeah.
I'm like cringing at myself 5 years ago. But anyway, but I noticed that like the dating comics really were what was gaining traction. And it was just like a fun way to like channel like all my frustrations from my own experiences, like back into the world and share them with other women. And like, I felt like the more honest and vulnerable I was with my experiences, like the stronger reaction it would get, which was cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff you post is just so relatable, and I have been there so many times, and it's just like, oh, thank God someone else is like talking about this too. Yeah, do you have any like recent examples of stuff that you've been doing with your Instagram account in terms of like talking about dating or like situations?
Yeah. So I started even before I was in a relationship, I was getting like really burnt out on making the comics about my own experiences. That started to feel like, I don't know, I just felt like it didn't feel fresh anymore. And I was like drawing this one character who was like this blonde woman who was like vaguely me. And I was making like every comic about her and they were about my life. And I was like, oh, I'm bored. Like I'm bored of this. So then I was trying to figure out which direction to put my content in. And like, I don't know, somehow I arrived at like my followers, like sending me their stories and screenshots. Cause I was like, I'm so sick of my own life. Like I want like to hear like what's going on for you guys. So people started sending me screenshots and stories, and not necessarily even like terrible screenshots, just like look at how weird this is or awkward. Mm-hmm. And that would just like inspire, I don't know. And then I started to get inspired from people's submissions. And that kind of just like began a whole new phase for me.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna try to like see something that we could like maybe talk about, because there's just some really great topics.
Do you find like, because I do comedy, and for a long time my comedy was about being single. And then when I got into a relationship, I kind of had this like crisis where I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk? Like, what's my art going to be now? Because like, I can't talk about being single the way I did when I was actually single. And I kind of had this little crisis. Did you feel something like that when you got into a relationship where you were like, oh man, like, is my art going to change now? Like, did you have a little panic, or was it never an issue for you?
No, I totally did. I was just like, oh my gosh, so much of what I create is inspired by my own dating experiences. And I was just, well, first off, I feel like I've got enough in the bank to last a lifetime.
Yeah, for sure.
And then secondly, I kind of feel like people submitting their stories to me is like an endless well of inspiration as well. But then of course, like something that I also dealt with when I got into a relationship was like kind of feeling like a fraud.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just like, oh, this is like become my shtick, like creating like comics about being single, being a single woman. And like, I'm not a single woman anymore. Like, do I still have a right to do this? Like,
Yeah, totally.
But I think so. We all remember.
Like I'm scarred for life. Like now I think of like the stuff I create as like processing the like emotional trauma I went through for those 5 years.
Absolutely. Totally. Yeah, I just brought this one up that I know I have saved before, but like, it's like what he looked like when I had him on a pedestal, and it's like hot steaming fries. And then it's like how he looks to me now, and it's a potato. And I've been there. I'm
trying to find this one.
Putting people on pedestals, and here.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's something that like we've all done. Like, how have you guys ever like dated someone, thought they were just amazing, like so wonderful, and then you I don't know, drifted apart, and then you like check their Instagram like a year later, and you're just like, the fuck?
Wow. Yeah, you're like,
1,000%. I think that's literally every guy I've ever been in love with or thought I was in love with.
Totally.
You like wake up from it. It's like a fever dream, and one day you're over it, and you're just like, oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like, you know, when your friend is seeing someone and they're just like so enamored, and you can kind of see through the garbage. You can kind of see through, and you're like, he's a piece of garbage. Like, there's, you know.
Yeah.
But they have the blinders on.
Right. You feel like those blinders were put on you, and they were finally taken off. And it's like, yeah, it's just.
Hint, I thought I was in love with a rollerblader for about 6 months of my life. So, yeah, it's been bad. It's been very bad.
The rollerblader. Oh, gosh.
Did you ever meet the rollerblader?
I don't think I did.
Oh, okay.
Did he do it like for fun, or was he a professional? Like,
oh, it was for fun.
Was he in a league? Like, he kind of roll down the block?
He used to try to be competitive, but gave up on that dream and kind of just kept it alive recreationally. I guess like a skateboarder, but with rollerblades. You know what I mean? He'd still do the tricks and stuff, but
I'm trying to think of like the most embarrassing guy that I've had a crush on or like liked or slept with. Gosh.
I have a thing. I'll get a crush on like the strangest, like I'll get a crush on people who, like, if you work with someone or you spend a lot of time around someone, like, you'll end up becoming attracted to like things that you never thought you'd ever be attracted to.
Yeah, definitely.
True. That is true.
Like, I don't know. I have this theory that like the longer you're around someone, like the lower your standards get. You know what I mean? Like,
interesting. Like,
or they just kind of change.
Or you just see someone for the wonderful person they are, and you would have written them off. And I think that that's actually something that is like an issue with online dating, because like the guy who you have a crush on at work, who like you know, like you didn't when you first looked at him, but like once you got to know him, you know, you developed one. Like, totally, you would have swiped no on him on Tinder, but like you realize like he's wonderful and whatever. And so,
oh yeah, I say that about my ex-boyfriend all the time. Like, if I saw him on Tinder, I would have been like a hard no.
Yeah.
But then like because we hung out and he was like really persistent about hanging out, like after a few months, I was like, oh, okay. Let's do this. Like, it's just so different in real life than it is over the internet.
Yeah, that's
and sometimes true. For the worse, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Yeah.
It's just because they're like in proximity, and if you have to, like, if it's a coworker, you have to see their face every day.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're like, well, maybe it could happen one day.
Yeah. And a lot of guys are just really not good at like selling themselves, like on the apps and stuff, which is essentially what you're doing on a dating app. It's like you're like aren't. You're trying to essentially kind of be like, hey, I'm a hot commodity. You want to get some of this? But a lot of guys are just like, here's a selfie that's like way too close and is mostly my neck. And here's my backwards hat and my sunglasses.
But there's a balance too, because I think if they're too good at it, that's also a red flag.
Yes, 100%.
When a guy is like, he's too good at picking photos, like that's a turn off to me. Like,
that is like, oh, you're way too into yourself.
Like a guy who, like,
and you've had too much practice.
Yeah, like if a guy's doing fashion poses and shit, like no, left. But like there's something really charming about a guy who like doesn't know like how to take a selfie.
Yeah. yeah, for sure.
I actually told my boyfriend that. I was like, honestly, like like, I think you're very handsome, but like the photos you chose on Tinder, like had me like I kind of felt like it would be one of those things where I'm like, okay, like he might not be attractive. Like he's either not attractive and like picked his like best photos, or he's super attractive and like picked like his worst photos. Luckily it's the latter, but like
that's the best. That's like the jackpot right there.
Yeah, that's a good one to find.
So that also came from my place of like expecting the bare minimum. I was just like, oh man, like, cause like he really like, I really don't think he picked his best photos. And like, but like in my mind before I met him, I was like, oh man, he's probably not that attractive, but picked like his best photos. But I was very like lucky to find out. I was happy.
Yeah, totally.
Whenever I'm online dating, I do sometimes take a chance on the ones where I'm like, maybe or maybe not. Like it could go either way. And I've been surprised both ways before. It's just like a toss up. You never know what you're gonna get.
Sometimes you think that they're bad and like they're kind of worse in person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, one time I like matched with this guy and he was wearing sunglasses in all of his pictures. And then when I saw him without sunglasses, I was like, oh no, he's not as cute.
Yeah, that's wild how even like just your eyes can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, oh my gosh, I had my like biggest catfish story. Ooh.
Oh, removed the time limit on your group meeting. Love it.
My catfish story was that I saw this guy on an app. It was a couple of years ago, and he listed his age as 35, and he looked like kind of like hip, like he was wearing like very 90s outfits, and I was like, oh, like he's just like some trendy fucking like Williamsburg guy, like guy. And then I met him, and I realized that like those photos were from the 90s, like a 50-year-old man.
Oh my god. That's so funny.
It totally catfished me. And so that this, like, I've never, like, unfortunately, there were so many times I wanted to leave a date early. This was the only time I've ever left a date early. And I kind of just, like, remember, like, seeing him show up and being like, oh, my God. Like, I just, like, I almost, like, said it out loud. I was like, Jesus, what the fuck? And so then I was like, hey, like, I'm like, how old did you say you were on your profile? And he was, like, 35. And I was like, oh, like, is that accurate? And he was like, no. And I was like,
what?
Yeah, I was like, how old are you? And he was like, yeah, like, and then he tried to act like he was adorable. He's like, I kind of fibbed. He's like, I'm 52.
Oh my God. That's
fine. I'll date a 52-year-old, but just say that you're 52. But anyway.
Yeah.
So like, okay. So then I was like, okay. And I was like, why did you do that? And so then he kind of just like looks me in the eye super intensely. And he's like, because I want to have kids one day, and women my age cannot do that. And that's the only time in my life that I ever like got up and was like, all right, I gotta go.
Wow.
That
like,
is.
I'm usually like way too polite, and I just sit and listen to like their bad stories and smell their bad breath or something on a bad date. But this time there was like just something inside of me that just like got the fuck up. I was like,
yeah. How did you end it? Were you just like, were you honest? Were you like, I'm not feeling this, bye? Or was it like, oh, I feel sick now?
No, I was just like, hey, like, I'm like, I just said something. I was like, I gotta go. Like, I'm sorry. It was nice to meet you, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
I got out of there as quickly as I could. And then he friend requested me on Facebook the next day.
Wow.
Well, what if still sitting in my like folder of requests.
Oh God.
What a 55-year-old man thing to do.
Yeah. For real.
That's insane. And also
I really don't understand the logic of when guys do things like that, or women do it too, I guess, but when people do things like that, it's just like, when the truth gets found out, you think this person's just going to be cool with the fact that you lied to them? Like I don't get it.
I think people think that like you're going to meet them and just like fall in love. I think real estate agents have a very similar like approach. They're just like, they'll just like show like the most flattering corner of an apartment. At least in New York, they do this, and the listing will sound amazing. It'll be like, wow, this place seems too good to be true. And you'll show up and you'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What they're not showing. And because like real estate agents and like catfishers just think you're going to like show up and fall in love, but that never happens.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
They're like, well, I'll charm them with my amazing personality, and they won't even notice that I don't look anything like the photos.
God.
That's so funny, though, also that he used pictures from the 90s, which are coincidentally the trend. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's like extra sneaky. He knows.
I wonder if he even knew, or if it was just like he was just like earnestly posting younger photos of himself.
That's so funny.
Allison, how has your online dating been going during the quarantine times?
Well, I'm still talking to the same guy. We've been FaceTiming like frequently for the past like 2 weeks, and we haven't met, obviously, but it's going well. Like, we get along, and like the conversations are good, and we like, I don't know, it's tough. I'm like very conflicted.
Allison's been talking to this guy, but he said that he wanted to just be friends, or
well, I don't know.
Or what does he want?
I have to have a conversation with him again about it, because I honestly don't know anymore. Because the way I'm perceiving our interaction is that it's like definitely more like we might maybe, I don't know, date-ish. But when we first talked when we were first texting, before we actually like started FaceTiming, we were just texting. I like asked right off the bat. I was like, "So, what do you want Tinder for?" Like, it was like our first conversation with each other, basically. And he was like, "Okay, I'm not really looking for a relationship," and he was being very upfront about it. And I was kind of like, "Well, I guess I don't know if I'm looking for a relationship, but I'm like open to it, and so I don't know if I should be talking to somebody who's like not into it at all."
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Okay, that's cool, I understand that, but like, I'm still down to like talk and hang as friends or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, like, we're all bored as fuck. We can talk as friends. Like, I don't mind making a new friend." And that's kind of how it started. But then I feel like as it's developed and we've been like talking more and like interacting more and like adding each other on Instagram and things like that, like I just feel like it's kind of been, to me, it's kind of felt more like flirty again and more like relationshipy, not relationshipy, but like, because like I'm pretty sure I'm the only girl he's talking to. I haven't asked flat out, but he's like insinuated it, and he's the only guy I'm talking to. So I don't know. It's just confusing right now. Like, I don't exactly know what's up.
It's very confusing. I feel like, I would assume that like everyone is having to like slow down and just be like, what is this? Like, or just be like, only talking to like one person. Samantha, when you were dating, did you like go on tons of dates all the time, or did you like here and there? Like, what was your strategy?
I feel like I went through bursts. So I would like do a burst and go on a bunch of dates, and then I would be like super worn out and need like a couple months to chill.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm like, I'm really, really bad at like dating multiple people at once. Because like, I'll just always like one the most.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, same.
And that makes it hard. I'm kind of, I remember when I was single, I was like super envious of my friends who were like, yeah, like I'm seeing these 3 guys deciding which one I like the best. And I'm just like, I can't do that. I'm just going to like one of them. And like, he's going to, and when I'm with the other 2, I'm just going to think about how I want to be with that one. And it's like, it's just like how my, so I would like do bursts, and sometimes I'd like meet a guy who I felt like strongly about, and then maybe like during my quiet period I'd like pine for him and wish he'd text me and like he'd breadcrumb me or whatever, and then I'd be ready for my another burst. But I definitely went through waves.
I don't know what the best way of doing it is, but Oh, here's another one that I've saved before. I've been like, which one is it? I can't tell if I like him more or hate myself. Or I can't tell if I'm like him or hate myself.
Totally. That is just like purely about when a guy treats you like trash, and it just like somehow makes it like the worse he treats you, the like more you like him for some reason. This is like a phenomenon that like, I don't know. I know that I've been through it, and you're just like, why do I like someone who treats me so terribly? Like, do I just hate myself? Like,
Yeah, been there.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
This person doesn't even like, treat me as an equal or, doesn't return my texts or anything. But yet here I am thinking about it.
Right, exactly. Like we should all date like we love ourselves,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn cheesy, but like, I tried, like, I feel like you sometimes when there are these like dudes who will treat you poorly, you'll confuse that like intensity that you feel over like whether or not you'll confuse that for like chemistry. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
And then you become addicted to that because it's like, ooh, the not knowing. And then when they text you, it's like this big rush.
I think it's like an ego thing where it becomes more wanting to convince that person that you're like worth their time.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait a minute, I'm fucking cool. What do you mean you're like not into this? Like, at least for me, that's how it's felt.
You're like, if I stick it out, they'll realize it and I can change them.
Oof, yeah.
It's not a good place to be in. And like after 4 years of dating, I was just like, I can't ever like deal with one of those again. So I would just like very quickly, like before I met my boyfriend, if a guy didn't like treat me well, or it seemed like he wasn't that into me, I'd cut him off super quickly, not even think about it. Like I'd block him.
Good.
Yeah.
Ooh, actually, sorry if this is too much of a topic changer, but I did get DM'd a question that's, you said blocked him. That kind of made me want to discuss this question. Mm-hmm. I asked if I could share it on the podcast, and she said sure. So let me know what you think, because I would like to get both of your opinions on this. She goes, can I ask your opinion on something? When a guy breaks up with you, do you think it's better to just block them on social media or not block and let them see how hot and funny you are without them?
Ooh.
Good one.
That's a tough question.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on
your self-control levels. Like if you can mute him and just post hot selfies and promise yourself you won't look at his profile, go for it. But if you know you don't have that kind of self-control, you gotta hit the block.
Yeah. The main thing is though to just like get them out of your feed so it doesn't like pop up when you're not expecting it.
Totally.
That is the worst. When you're like going about your day and then you see like your ex like with a new girlfriend or something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a tough one because like I know what I would do, but I don't know if what I would do is the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
I don't think there is a right thing. I don't think it's right or wrong. I think it's like depending on you. Like, what would you do, Allison?
I think I would do like a forced unfollow. Like I would block them and then immediately unblock them. So that way, like, could still potentially look at each other's profiles, but like not following each other.
Okay.
And so like, if he looked at my stories, I'd be like, okay, he like typed in my name and went to my page to look at my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I don't know.
Open.
Yeah. Because we all do want a little bit. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say sometimes you don't want to give them the like ego boost of like knowing that you unfollowed them. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
I feel like if I unfollow a guy, then he like knows that he got to me. So like back in the day before muting existed on Instagram, I would like unfollow like guys, and I felt like I was like letting them know that like they got to me or something, you know?
Yeah, it feels hostile in some way. But if you want them to think that you don't give a shit and you don't care,
but like the mute button is great because then you're just like, oh, like you're following me. I'm following you. I didn't even notice. Like you can just pretend. Yeah.
That's true. I forgot about the mute button. That's very true.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on like how if they broke up with you, like, I think for me, it depends on like how what our standing is. Like, am I still kind of friendly with them, or like, are they a total asshole? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's okay to let somebody know that they hurt you. Like,
Yeah. I think that people should.
I think a block is okay to let them know, like, you pissed me off. I don't want you in my life. Like, bye-bye. Like, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you still kind of want to, yeah, I don't know. In an unhealthy way, if you still want to, like, know that they might be might be snooping on you, and you, like, want them to kind of see your progress or whatever, like how happy you are without them, like that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know about that.
It becomes a slippery slope though, because you don't want to like be posting stories and then like checking every 10 minutes to see if they watched. Like, sometimes like, it gives you the satisfaction of like not having to worry about that, or being like, why didn't they like my selfie? Like blocking them will give you like way more satisfaction. And it's
totally
like, it's probably healthier to just straight up block. It depends. Some people can handle the mute. Some people do the unfollow, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
it depends on what you know you can handle, like what you know your own like willpower is, I guess.
I just know that like I've felt so much better when I can like get that person completely out of my mind and not have to think about them ever again, unless it's like, you know, but like otherwise I'll continue to think about them, and that's just like mental energy that I'm using up that I should not be using on that person.
There's nothing more frustrating than when you can't stop thinking about someone who you wish you could stop thinking about.
Yeah.
It's the worst. And you're like, I haven't gotten anything done today because I've just been thinking about this dumb relationship or what's going on in this, like, you know.
Yeah.
God, if this dude knew how much I thought about him, oh my God. A restraining order.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, do what's right for you. Do what's right for your own mental health.
I would say that it's like a situation. It like really depends. Like every fuckboy is like a special blossom.
Yeah. It's a special little flower. Yes.
Yeah. That, like, block, delete, whatever. Like it needs its own handling. So I would say that it really depends on the situation, like how okay you are with being like the person's friend, like, and all these other things.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yep. Well, I think we're getting to the end of our episode.
Yes.
Do you have any other last pieces of advice for our listeners? Things that you've learned in your dating experience?
I would say just like date like you love yourself. Don't date like you hate yourself. And also like it kind of helps to just have like low expectations. That doesn't mean that you have to like have low standards or anything, but like having low expectations.
The difference between low expectations and low standards. Not the same thing.
Totally. Yeah.
Just like, I feel like, just go into every date just expecting it to be the worst. I mean, at least that's and you might like be surprised. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Sounds good. That's very true. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Are you working on anything, or where can people follow you? Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Violet Claire. That's Violet, like the color, and then CLAIR, and there's no E in Claire.
Sweet. I'm following right now.
All right.
Cool.
Well,
thank you so much.
So nice to meet you guys and chat.
Yeah,
definitely.
Hopefully one day we can meet if we're in the same city.
And if the world opens back up, like,
Yeah. If who knows?
Let me know when you're in New York. I'd love to grab a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.